Okay.
Got it.
Good. So, good evening, everyone. This is the February meeting of the Newtonville Area Council. I'm Jennifer Bentley. I'm the president of the Newtonville Area Council. With us today from the council, we have Laura DeVue, our vice president. We have Harvey Young. He's our secretary. We have Carolyn Gabay, Ralph Abele, Dan Cohen, and Dana is sick today, so she will not be here. She's our treasurer, but she will watch the recording later, as I mentioned earlier, before the recording started. So the first thing we want to do, as I mentioned in the last meeting, we had 2 spots that are open on our council. We can fill up to 9 slots. We only have 7 right now, members. So we put out a call for candidates and we got 3 names. Richard Huddleston, sorry. Mark Sestari, if I said that correctly, and Suzanne Cucurello. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last names. But we do have everyone here today. And so we want to go ahead and tell you how this process works. Today we will conduct 10 to 15-minute interviews with each of you. Just asking questions that are basic, why you want to be on the Newtonville Area Council, and more about your information, why you think you'd be good on the council, etc. And we will do that. I think, Carolyn, last time we did 15 minutes, is that correct? You don't remember? We've done this a couple times. I think it's we'll shoot for 10 minutes and then maybe a 2-minute wrap up. How about that? So we get 12 minutes. We'll see how that goes in the first person. If we need more time, then we'll just extend the time for everybody. But no longer than 15 minutes. At that point, after we do have our interviews, we will go on to discuss other issues, because we are unable to vote in this. According to our bylaws, we're unable to vote for the new members in this meeting. We need to wait till the next meeting, which is when we will hold the formal vote. And then once the members are chosen, they will need to go to City Hall, get sworn in, and then they can become voting members of the Newtonville Area Council. So we're going to go ahead and start. I have Suzanne, you're the top of my list. So we're going to start with you. Does anyone have any other questions about the process before we get going? Anyone on our council? Like I just said, I think we've done this before. And Harvey, Laura, and Ralph just went through it in May last year, maybe, or no, March, something like that. They're familiar with the process as well. Okay, so Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you.
So could you just give us a little, tell us a little about yourself and why you're interested in joining the Newtonville Area Council?
Sure. So I've lived in Newtonville for 29 years. I came here when I was pregnant with my son. Both my daughter and my son went through all of the Newton schools. I've been involved in the community through several different ways. Primarily, I'm currently the president of the board at Historic Newton. I've also worked with the Newton Tree Conservancy, and
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Suzanne, I just muted you by accident. Sorry. I'll give you. That was my fault.
that's
Sorry.
okay. I just thought you were done with me.
You're done talking.
You're done. You're
We've heard
done.
enough. Sorry. Continue. I apologize.
No, not at all. I don't know where it got muted, but anyhow, I was also have been involved in Newtonville Day, which I know you all organize for the past couple years, representing historic Newton, and my husband, who's involved in the Masons, which meet in Newtonville. He's also been involved in the area council as well as in Newtonville Day. And so I was busy with my career for the past 32 years, working in finance and also as the Dean of Admission for Bentley University. And I retired 2 years ago, and I've been trying to find things that are of interest to me to volunteer my time for. And certainly my own hometown is something that's very, very interesting to me. There's been a lot going on in Newtonville in the past couple of years. And I'm interested in making sure all of the residents of Newtonville have their opinions heard on what's going on in our own town. And so my husband kind of brought this council to my attention, and I thought, well, that sounds like something very interesting and worthwhile to spend my time and hopefully give my talents to.
Okay. What specific talents would you bring to the Newtonville Area Council?
So my expertise is in marketing. I did marketing for Citibank, Fidelity Investments, MetLife, and Bentley University. So I'm very familiar with how to promote things. So hopefully that would be helpful. I also see you do quite a bit of survey work. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of surveys in my lifetime. So I think I could help in that regard. And I'm not shy, so I'm pretty good at presenting. I've presented in front of thousands of people in my past lives. So if there's ever a need for any of that kind of work. I've also I've worked with, as part of Historic Newton, I've worked with the mayor because that is a public-private organization. I actually presented to the mayor in front of her council and was able to arrange for $200,000 worth of ARPA funds to go toward Historic Newton to help build the Newton History Museum, which is housed in the Jackson Homestead. So I've been involved with some of the political leaders in the city, certainly not all of them, and I find it interesting, and I see you guys have done a lot of work in promoting the political process, if I will.
Um, in terms of promoting, we are seeing our numbers of audience members go down. While we can get a lot of people at our village day, we don't get a lot of people who participate, and I think it's mainly because we don't have a lot of huge issues that are going on right this second. What would you suggest to us or do for us to up our numbers and get us out there?
Yeah, I think social media, I saw you guys had a Facebook page, but I didn't see a lovely cat. I didn't see a lot of frequent posting on there of relevant issues that might drive people to be interested in the organization. Certainly, you're right in bringing to bear some of the issues that are going on in Newtonville and bringing to people's attention usually gets them all riled up and ready to come and participate. So hopefully we'll be able to bring to some of those issues to their attention.
Okay.
And there's certainly, reading the last mayor's update on a state of the city, there's a lot going on around here.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else on the council want to ask any questions before I take over the whole thing? Laura, any question about surveys maybe?
Yeah. So I have a couple, I'm gonna ask the same questions of everybody. So yeah, Suzanne, you're up first, so you're jumping on the grenade, and then Richard and Mark, you'll have the same questions. But I want to know, we are trying to initiate surveying as a regular aspect of what we do. One of the things about surveying is that once you get the information, you have to share it out. And so my question to you is, if you were to pick something to survey the community on, what would it be? And how would you get information from people who may not necessarily respond to emails? And how do you maybe use relational opportunities to gain visibility for the survey so that we can reach people who may not be part of our mailing list, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work in surveying, and clearly, even for historic Newton, we recently did one of the Newton residents trying to understand what they were looking for from that organization. And I think being able to tap into the many different communications to different audiences. For example, I mean, we did use the mayor's newsletter as one of those touch points. I've used in the past, I've used the different, well, the Allen Center has been putting out quite a bit of information, and so they've got a nice mailing list. And also all of the parent-teacher organizations through the schools, depending on what audience if you're looking for, because, as you guys all know, Newtonville's quite diverse. And if you're looking to target our older residents, there's certain ways that I would do that. If you're looking to target some of our, younger children, families that are having younger children in the household, there's different ways to do that. So I think, thinking through who your audience is that you want to reach, and then finding those groups to partner with. We've also found, we actually just completed one for Historic Newton, where we started making calls out. And it made people realize that we're interested in them and we're interested in their opinions. And so for key, I mean, certainly you can't call all of Newton, that would be crazy, but for key constituents, face-to-face phone call and, kind of go through the survey in person can be quite helpful. And you can also, I mean, heck, you can go over to Star Market and still, I mean, get most of the residents that are coming through town.
Yep. My next question to you is this, there's some city officials, including one apparently who's running for state rep, who believe that village councils are not viable or valuable. And they consider them repetitive with other existing communication and feedback loops in the city. While we would not be here if we didn't think that there was a real benefit that the councils provide for an important hyperlocal avenue for feedback and civic engagement. I want to hear from you, and I'm going to ask this of everybody. What are there is a valid piece of criticism here from folks, though, that goes to this idea is that we get into kind of a vacuum of the same voices. And this goes to a bit of what Jennifer was talking about, but I want to hear from folks about how do they get out of their own vacuum and speak to people within the community, specifically within the village of Newtonville, to get other opinions, other thoughts, other concerns. So Suzanne, I'd love to hear from you on this. And being that you're a former director of enrollment at Bentley, I am going to go out on a limb and think that you probably have very good people skills. So show us your people skills, Suzanne.
So we'll give that a shot. I mean, I actually heard that feedback already about, is the area council a viable organization to go forward? And when I was considering whether to put my application in, and clearly since I did put my name in the hat, I thought, well, it is something that could have extreme value in this village. I'm a big proponent of face-to-face, and I just feel like, for example, just this past year, I actually didn't know my neighbors. Now, I've lived in this house for 29 years and I never met the neighbors 3 houses up. That's pretty pathetic. And I'll give myself a little bit of a break because I've been, working full time for years and years and years. But I wanted a tree in front of my house. And so you have to, Newton Tree Conservancy will only do it if you get so many neighbors to do it and you commit to so many trees. So I actually went up to them and I wrote a letter and I put it in their mailbox and I said I was gonna reach out to them and I did all that. And we actually did get trees in front of our houses. I filled out the application and went through the whole process. But it was really nice because that day we all got together on my street, people we hadn't met each other and we've been living next to each other for years. And we were all helping each other plant these trees. And it just reinforces to me the value in getting like that personal outreach, whether, you hire college students on break to just, go out there and start talking to people and letting them know what the issues are, or, soliciting feedback from people in areas where we know that our neighborhood congregates, whether that be, Star Market or Mita or, any place that we know that there's a lot going on. Certainly the new I'm sorry, I know it's not called the senior center, but the I don't even remember what it's called, but the old senior center,
The
this.
building formerly known as Senior
Yes.
Center. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I thought, oh, that's a very clever way to rebrand that, because it doesn't sound like it's for old people. It sounds like
Right.
it's for everyone. But that would be a great opportunity to really galvanize the village around something that it should be a real big positive for us, and find a way to solicit new feedback for what's going on in the city.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay, we're almost at 15 minutes, so Harvey or Ralph or Carolyn, do you have one last question or two
No
questions?
questions for me.
No, same for me. This has been a really good back and forth. So
Okay, Carolyn? And, oh, sorry, Dan, I'm sorry, you're at the bottom of my.
No, that's fine.
screen.
That's fine. Same as the others. I think you guys are doing a great job questioning. I got my pen here in my hand, so I'm making some notes.
Okay, Carolyn, do you have any last questions?
Yeah, just a quickie. I note that you mentioned that your husband's part of the Masons,
Mhm.
and since it's such a venerable and local to Newtonville Center organization, I'm wondering if you had any thoughts about whether we might have some joint activities or other initiatives together with the Masons.
Oh, I know they're very, very willing to do that. Being in the center of Newtonville, they've been very attuned to what's going on in our village. He has been participating in some of these area council calls as their representative, which is how I found out about it. And I know that the Masons, like for example, when he and I shared a table at Newtonville Day this past fall, and they are very interested in letting people go up and tour the building. So I was, of course, I'm not the shy one, and people were asking me about it, and I said, "Oh, would you like a tour?" My husband went up and down those stairs probably 20 times that day. He's like, "Enough with the tour." But I knew people are curious about it, and I know they think it's like this secret organization, but they're very, very interested in reaching out to their community. And frankly, that's what they're about. I mean, they're all about philanthropy. Those guys, they actually help Historic Newton do their cleanup days. So they're doing a lot of stuff in our community already. And if you just tap them, I think they're always open.
Yeah, they are service oriented. They do a lot of blood drives.
Yeah.
I used to represent a Masonic organization, and I think it's a fabulous fraternity, and I think there'd be a lot of potential there for us, and with Eastern Star as well.
He's involved in maintaining that building. So my husband retired last year too. So now we're both retired. So he likes to monkey around with buildings. So he maintains the United Methodist Church, which is right across the street from the high school, which we belong to. So he maintains that building. He maintains the Masonic building, and he maintains the Newton Yacht Club, which we're also members of. So he's very into like making sure everybody's up to fire code and all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for coming in and having the nerve to go first. I guess you didn't have a choice, but we
Nah, that's
appreciate.
I'm not
We
shy.
appreciate you being the first one. You know, feel free to stay on to the rest of it, or if you would like to leave, you can. We're,
Great.
you know, whatever you choose to do, but thank you for participating and sending in your information. So next on the list, I have Richard Huddleston.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Richard. How you doing?
Wonderful.
Good. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna ask you is why you are interested in becoming a member of the Newtonville Area Council.
Sure. 42 years old, reached a point in my career where I was pushed into management at work because I had achieved a lot of personal success. And a lot of people said, we'd love you to help give back. And I've embraced it at work. I now manage 17 people at work, and I enjoy it a lot. It's not about me. It's not about getting ahead for myself anymore. It's about supporting other people and raising up other ideas. I'm very privileged to be in Newton. I grew up here for the first 18 years of my life, and I've now been here for the last 10 years of my life as a homeowner. Newton has 5,432 residents, according to niche.com, and I would love to get to know Suzanne more because she has a lot to offer. I would love to become a Mason. I've always loved that building, and I would love to join the yacht club. So, you know, I will admit, I wish I knew more of my neighbors as well. My company recently went fully remote, and it's been an opportunity for me to reflect that in the new normal that we have with a lot of white collar workers in Newton, that maybe our community is more important now because our jobs are not going to give us as much fulfillment as we had in the past. Also, I am one of the few lucky people in Newton whose parents live less than half a mile away. It has been a great pleasure of mine to have the opportunity to live close to my parents. I wish that more children of parents in Newton could have the opportunity that I have to live here. The best 2 years I had in my life that I've lived in Newton are since I moved back, and my friend was my best friend in college, had her first child, was living in Boston, and moved out to Newton. And she was a renter. And I know a renter is different than a landowner in this town, but it was the best 2 years of my life. So I would like to be someone who can create opportunity for children of people who live in Newton, for people who have friends who are renters and want to be in Newton. I love Newton. I have been here for 28 out of the 42 years of my life. I will be here for the rest of my life. This is very important to me. And I'm curious about the council. My latest job I took because 15 years ago, I worked with a guy who's now a VP of engineering in a company. He said, "Oh, I see you're in management now. Would you like to come work for me?" And I said, "Why?" You know, we talked about various things and he had various ideas. And I said, "Well, normally someone like you would be in product and, you know, working with me as a peer in engineering." And he said, "Well, if I'm your manager, I get to tell you what to do." And I said, "I'd love it. I'm not here because I have my own ideas. I'm trying to accomplish my own thing. There are other people like him, like the rest of the people on the council who have been here for a long time. And like they said, they know their challenges. They know the issues they want to address. Example, getting more input from people. And I'm here to serve. You know, I believed in the discussion of too much is given, much is expected. So I'd love to learn. I'd love in 25 years when I'm 67 and I have a great leadership idea and I want to lead other people, I'd love to be head of this council. But for today, I just want to help the other people who've been here, who've learned a lot and are looking to get a lance, a spear, some sort of ability to reach other people. You know, I'm here to sort of figure that out. And I think, Suzanne, great stuff. I'm going to vote for you. You know, you have my charter council vote, you know, but that's the thing, you know, if I'm considered in 10 years from now, that's great with me. But, you know, I just wanted to put my name forth because I have spare time, I have spare resources, and I feel like now is my time to be called to serve. And if it's not here and now, you know, my wife is on vestry at her church in Newtonville and stuff like that, you know, because it was her time. So that's why I'm interested. I'm sorry for being so long-winded.
That's okay. There's a little bit of static on your microphone. I don't know if anyone else hears that. Is it maybe you're too far away or?
No, I can fix that. Watch this. And also, why did you wait so long?
It's okay. I can still hear you. It just started to get bad towards the end.
Let me try.
That's better. Okay.
How about now?
It's better. Yeah. I think you're good. So
We can hear you.
what kind of talents do you think you can bring to the council? Oh, now we can't hear you.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. When I was in high school, I became an Eagle Scout for being a leader, and I was last time at Newton City Hall, was being recognized as the mayor for being someone who brought together a scout troop to contribute to something. In college, I was elected the president of my dorm or housing or community college because I was recognized for leadership. And now in my current job, I've been promoted to director and I manage managers because it's about building consensus and helping the people above me get their vision accomplished. Because some people who have vision can't actually get down and get the work done. And so I feel like what I can do is take other people's vision at this time and help them get accomplished so that they can focus on the vision and they can do strategy and I can do tactics. That being said, I have no background in marketing. I have no background in community outreach. I have no background in talking to my neighbors. I just am someone who's come up through the meritocracy in business, and I just have been pushed into leadership, and I do not have the talent and the experience that like Suzanne probably has in reaching out and connecting with other people. I am in software. I know how to run a website. I know how to do technology. I'm currently helping my company onboard to FedRAMP such that we can follow government processes to get sold to the government. So I know how to contract with legal companies to translate technical requirements that the government has to my team, to get my team and my 1,000-person company to then communicate back with a consulting company who they can translate it back to legalese to meet all the nuance of government contracts. I understand that everyone else has a lot of expertise, and it's about helping to lead different people with different talents together to get an accomplishment for a goal. I would love it, my goal, if I were in Newton for the rest of my life, would to be undo the greatest sin, which was that Massachusetts allowed the Mass Pike to pave over 3 of our villages in Newton because they were historically a underrepresented minority, being Black communities, being Italian communities. And I would love it if at the end of my life, a majority of that was paved over, parked with parks or buildings. And we corrected the greatest sin, which was dividing 3 of our villages in half and ruining them. So, that's not today, but that's the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's okay. We do have that issue because we have in Newtonville above the pike and below the pike. So we do struggle with that. Some of our members are on one side, some are on the other, and we're trying to, even it out so that we can get perspective from both sides because both sides deal with different challenges. But knowing that, how would you, do you have any ideas of how we can bring more people in? And get some of those different issues and ideals into our meetings and know more about us? Do you have any ideas for that?
Do you have a lack of ideas on the council?
I mean, like, what I mean is, we don't have enough people to kind of like, when a big issue comes up, like the senior center, we'll get like 150 people.
Hmm.
When there's no issue like the senior center, we get 25, 30. So I think we suffer with people not knowing who we are and not knowing that they can come to us and talk to us about their issues or bring those issues to us. So do you have any ideas of how you might help reach out to people that don't normally show up?
Yep. Yep. So one of the things I deal with in my company is that 35% of my company works in India. And through legacy of historical British rule, they're very bureaucratic. And they believe that VPs talk to directors, directors talk to managers, managers talk to tech leads. And that's what they do. In America, we have different ideas. We think that people should just go up to their representative, go up to their president. You know, Abraham Lincoln used to have office hours for people just show up. In India, they're a lot about ceremony. So I would have a question to you. I'm a big believer in my business about deleting meetings. Why do you think that more people showing up is necessary for the outcome or the achievements of this company, of this council? What are the key objectives that you are looking for to achieve that are necessitate more people showing up?
I mean, I think it goes to the question that Laura is going to ask about the relevance of the area councils. If we're not reaching enough people, how relevant could we really be?
Yeah,
So
like I just went last Sunday to meet with our Ward 2 counselor to talk to him. Why is he not on this meeting? You know, if we don't have our Ward 2 counselor on this meeting, it's like if we are not going to, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
I
we
will,
usually do get, we
I will
had
spot out, he normally
Susan
does attend
Albright
these
was on
meetings.
before.
he does. Okay, that's great.
And
That's great.
David Mickley is on vacation, and Tariq's usually here. I don't know where he is, but Tariq's usually been the one that comes most often. So we do at least have one, and I work with them and pass things off to them that I hear. So at least we have those guys. They can pass on issues.
Yeah. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm asking the people below me, the people above me, what do you want to achieve and what's your ultimate goal? And then let's talk about it together. So like, do we need more people here to be more successful? What is the key objective we're going for? And why is more attendance at this meeting mean we'll be more successful?
Mhm. Well, it's something to think about. Laura, you want to ask your questions?
Yeah, I think, Richard, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing an interest. And I think that, I'm going to answer your question and then maybe get into my question is I think from my perspective, to your point, sometimes it's not necessarily that we have 100 people on a meeting, but it is about what happened between last month's meeting and this month's meeting in terms of us getting out there and talking to people and doing whatever we need to do to outreach. What I hear from people is the city as a whole, in terms of their communication strategy and engagement strategy, is everything's at night. And if you have kids or work at night or whatever it is, that you feel cut off, and that there needs to be a vehicle to allow for people to be able to have a conduit. And I see that the council is a conduit, and that we may not know a issue. I live on the other side of the pike. I live on the Meta side, on the Trio side, and we've had a lot of construction over here in terms of things from National Grid as well as from the city. And what I just keep hearing from our neighbors and from people when I walk around, because I have a face that people insist on talking to me, even though I don't know them, And they will say to me, oh, when's the last time they're gonna let us know about XYZ? And I think that's the kind of thing that I think is important for us to bring to these meetings and that sort of thing, and be available. So I guess to answer your question, I think we are a conduit. It is important, and that as we plan meeting to meeting in terms of agenda, I think one of our biggest challenges is getting the right people to attend the meeting or to be responsive to us between meetings so that we can provide some update to the people who live around us. So that's my answer to your question. Does that make sense, Richard?
Great. So I would say, I know that based on the readings and feedback that I've gotten reading lots of things, a lot of towns have a problem that don't have a mayor, that have town council. And as soon as people have children, they stop showing up at town council meetings because they're like, I have to put my kid at bed at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Example, this meeting is at 7 o'clock. We have currently 3 times 4, 12 people on the call. I don't know, maybe more. But that's not exactly 432 people. So I would say this being a Zoom is not a way that we're getting anything communicated out to our constituents. So this council is not, this meeting is not in any way communicating out. We can get together, we can talk about things, we can figure out a way to mass distribute information, but this actual meeting, which you guys have advertised and everything, is not a place where we're distributing information. So again, I get the feedback of, we need to have younger people, we need to have people with families here, but again, we're perpetuating the same problem of it's a 7 o'clock meeting and there are 15 people on it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that we are at 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So we probably just have one more question.
I'm just going to ask one more question, Richard. And this gets to kind of this idea of you've talked a bit about, and I think I've got a good perspective of this idea of like what makes us valuable in your minds. So I think you've put that out there. I do have one question for you. You've said that you're not somebody who's done surveys. You say you're not somebody who does marketing. But if you were to say, I want a survey on something, I want to know what people think about X in Newtonville, what would it be?
I would not ask myself. I believe that my current job, I'm a general manager of a part of our company that makes $5 million in revenue. And my job is to go figure out the other people in the company that have expertise. Example, Suzanne, fantastic. You should hire Suzanne. You do not need to hire Suzanne, and you do not need to hire me at the same time. You should not hire 2 people who have the same skills. You need to have people who have different skills. So I do not have Suzanne's expertise. And whoever comes after me, I'm sure they'll be wonderful as well. And I'm sure Suzanne and them will be the perfect pairing. But that's not the point. I think what I've noticed in Newton is that whatever we're doing is not changing the game. And we need to start doing different things. So if you have so many people on the council and you're not getting the objectives you want, you should not hire the same people that you've had before. And
Okay, but I think I want to just follow up because I want to make sure you understood my question. One of the things that makes us potentially effective is that we need to not just ask the questions that I want to know, but how do we get people around us to ask, to provide us with information? So like, I know what I wanted to know and I've kind of asked those already, but my next set of questions are based on what I hear from my neighbors or what I hear from people at things. Is there something that you hear that you think we need more information on, or are you going to defer to that?
I think we should have some sort of a council above us that says, if you're not getting the information that you guys need after so many years of being a council, you need someone to come in and shake things up and say that, how many years have you had of recruiting people that things haven't changed? And if you're not getting the information that you want, this isn't an effective council.
Cool. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And are we all set with any other questions? Anybody? Everyone's good? Okay, well, thank you so much, Richard, for coming in. And if you have...
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Dan, do you have a question?
No. I was just saying thank you. Sorry, I jumped in.
Oh.
I have a pause for the problem.
That's okay. You got to be quicker than that, Dan. I talk a lot.
Mm.
So thank you, Richard, for coming in. Like I said to Suzanne, feel free to sit and listen to Mark and his questions and answers, and then also stay for the rest of the meeting to hear what we're going to talk about next. But thank you, and we will decide next meeting. So Mark, you're finally on the hot seat.
All right, good. Well,
I'm sure you can probably conduct the interview all by yourself without us at all.
thank you,
But
Jennifer, for having me. So first of all, this is the backdrop for my company. I'm the chief commercial officer for Southern Airways. We're a little commuter airline like Cape Air, and I do all the new business development for them. So this is kind of my Zoom meeting room, but not intended for this. So in terms of me, I came to Newton in 1976 when I went to Boston College as a freshman, and I lived on the Newton campus on Center Street, and fell in love with Boston, and it was great. I met my wife there, and got married the day after graduation to her, and we lived in Newton for a long time, raised our two kids there here. They both went through the Newton schools from freshman from first grade all the way through. And then there was kind of a turn in my life at age 40. I came out, became gay, and now I live with my husband, Ryan, here in Newton. So I'm like a transformed gay Newtonite, and I have a perspective as both a parent and also as a gay person. So I love Newton. I live in 100-year-old Tudor house. I feel like Newton is one of the absolute best communities in the entire country to live in, despite the exorbitant cost that we pay to live here. I think the quality of life is exceptional on so many levels. Safety for one, education for another. Both my kids went on to great colleges. One to UMiami, went to Purdue. But I feel like things are moving in the wrong direction. I feel like I look at how resources are being directed. I look at the quality of our roads, the rankings of our schools, and I feel like the mayor is well intended, but somewhat incapable of doing what we need to do. The landscape right now is very challenging, and I feel like I want to have a voice to talk about what we need to do in Newtonville to revive our community, and specifically because I'm a business person, to revive our commercial community, because I feel like the Newtonville shopping district is a little bit tattered. I personally don't think banks are the answer. I think we need to have a more vibrant Newtonville, and I'm willing to work for that. I also feel like the whole conversation in Newton is wrong. I think there's too much conversation on changing the city seal, changing all the other kind of symbols that are old school. I think the focus needs to be on improving the quality of life for taxpayers and citizens who live here. And I'm one of them, and I love it. I'm never leaving. I mean, I when I come home to my house every day, I say, my God, this is like the best place to live in America. And I truly believe that, but I think our city is really moving in the wrong direction. And focusing on the wrong things. And I think we're squandering a lot of money on things that are not good for the residents or the taxpayers. I mean, I look at this whole teacher strike, and the teachers, my father was a high school principal. I'm like all in with teachers, but I think they took it a little too far. And I think in the process, they turned a lot of middle of the road people against them because they appeared to be self-serving. And I think it's damaged our community. I feel like, I've lived here, I've lived in this house in Newtonville for 20 years and 10 years before in Newton Center. I feel like our community is divided like never before. I feel like everyone's on one side or another. And I think the dialogue has gotten very escalated and very bad. And I would like to help bridge that, as a business executive that deals with money, but also as someone that, had children in the schools, is gay, is like open to, where we are in 2024. I think I have a good voice and a good ability to do that. And I would be honored to serve on the council. And I love Newton. I love Newtonville. I love my house. I'm never leaving. I'm going to die in this house. And I might as well do some good while I'm here. So I'm open to any questions from the chairman or anyone else.
Yeah, so I know Carol has a question. I have one question to ask before I send it to her. I've asked the same question, but I'm gonna switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
You said something about the businesses, and we're trying to get more businesses. We're trying to help the businesses because we see that they're really important to our village center. We're trying to get more businesses to work with us. Outside of Village Day, do you have any ideas of how to get businesses to kind of work with us and us to work with them? Being as you brought it up.
Yeah, well, I think, the city has a lot of resources. One of my pet peeves is the Shaw's store in Newtonville. I have written numerous letters to the alderman and also to Shaw's. If you look at the Shaw's in Chestnut Hill, it's beautiful. It's, very user-friendly, whatever. And I've said to Shaw's and to the alderman, the outgoing alderwoman, why won't you guys invest in our community? This is a rich community. This is the centerpiece of Newtonville. When it was built over the highway with the cement and everything, it was okay, but like, why can't we have a beautiful like centerpiece that is an anchor for Newtonville that people like look up to, like the Shaw's or the Star Market in Chestnut Hill. And I got nothing from Alderman who's outgoing, whose name I will not mention, but also nothing from Shaw's. So I would say if I were elected, I would put pressure on Shaw's to say, let's get rid of this ugly cement thing in the middle of our community. Let's let it be something that you guys can invest some money to make this be the centerpiece for Newtonville and not just this big, ugly cement thing. So that's one thing I would do. The other thing I would do is go to the mayor and to the city council and say, look at all the businesses that have moved to Watertown. Like I hate to say this, but I do most of my shopping in Watertown because they're the retail stores that I want to go to. Let's do some kind of incentive program for businesses in Newton. If you want to start a business in Newton, we'll give you a $50,000 tax credit. if you bring a business to one of these vacant stores on Newtonville Avenue or Needham Street, not Needham Street, or on any of the streets in our villages, and say, we'll give you this tax credit. You come here, you bring a business. Let's have an advocate on the city payroll who help with you on signage and on outreach and on marketing. I think that's what we need to do, because the villages, frankly, everybody talks about the villages, but our villages from a marketing perspective are not competitive. They're tired, they're banks, they're stuff that like blah, 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 blah. They're not creative, fun businesses. Go to Watertown. You got Pepe's Pizza, you got all these great, cool places. We have sat it out, and those businesses are the ones that pay more taxes. And we need more commercial revenue. Commercial businesses pay higher residents. And I'm telling you, I've been in this house for 20 years, and I'm paying $12,000 a year in taxes on a 1,600-foot house. I'm about ready to say, hey, maybe it's time to move to Florida. And that's like many people. We need to bring more businesses to town, and we need to get them to be structured to the point where they're successful enough that they're paying more of the freight. And I don't think this administration has done anything to focus on more commercial development, more businesses. Give them what they need to come here, so it takes the pressure off of us paying taxes. I don't know what the rest of you think about that, but I'd love some feedback from the group if you agree or not.
I don't want to get into that because you're going to use up all your time with us discussing the taxes issue. You probably don't want to get into that right now. But Carolyn, well, we could talk about it later offline. But Carolyn, do you have a question?
Thank you. Yeah, Mark, I'd love to talk to you. Mark, can you hear me? My microphone is problematic sometimes. No
You
good?
got it. You're good.
Okay. Mark, I'd love to talk to you offline sometime about those points, but just for now, you mentioned that you viewed Newton as headed in the wrong direction, and maybe you've answered this question in part by what you just said, but what do you think would be the right directions?
I think we need more commercial development to help ease the burden of taxes on older folks like me who want to stay in their homes. I mean, we keep talking about diversity, but I think the best way to keep Newton diverse is to keep it affordable. And everything that this mayor and the council does is just raise the taxes. So that would be the one thing I would do, is bring more business in to keep the taxes lower for people who are here. I also think we need to try to make sure our villages are promoted. And I know the city does a bunch of little things about that, but I look at I go to the UPS store in Newtonville, and the guy that works there is a miracle worker. I would like to see us really have a focus program to say, bring your business home, bring your business to Newtonville, whatever. And I don't think we do that. I think a lot of the rich people here take their money out of town, and I think if we kept that money into town, it would be good for the businesses, they'd be prospering, and it'd be good for those of us who pay taxes.
Thank you. Laura, would you like to ask your questions?
Mark, thank you for being here. And I want to drill in on one of the things that you said, and you've answered some of the questions that I would have asked. So I don't want to repeat myself or have
Okay.
you repeat yourself. But I do want to ask a question about this idea of connecting people in the city and hearing from voices that might be here and get more people to maybe connect with us in a way. You've brought up the city center, the village center a couple of times. Talk to us about any experience you have with basically grassroots organizing, any opportunities you've had talking to people, allowing for us to maybe gain some further experience of yours as it relates to getting information from people who might be underserved and underrepresented.
Yeah, well, I'm shamefully head of the Republican ward committee here in Ward 1, which I know is a sin in Newton, but I am kind of a community activist in that regard. I also am very interested in any kind of grassroots advocacy from people who want to improve the city. And I think, while I haven't been active in what you're speaking to, community organizations, because I work 80 hours a week, I feel like if I were on this council, and also I'm scaling back. I'm at the point where my employment is allowing me to. I travel 15 days a month right now, and that is going to change due to things that are beyond your interest. But it will allow me to spend more time in the community, getting involved on a grassroots level. And I'm, you know, as a gay Republican in Newton and in Massachusetts, I'm definitely a one-off, and I have to be very open to new avenues for meeting people, and I'm very open to doing that. And I'm not trying to evade your question, but my employment and my situation has not allowed me to get involved in a lot of community organizations, but I certainly will, and I certainly feel like this organization is exactly right for me because I love the Newtonville, and I feel like I know exactly what we need to do to raise the bar here. And so, Laura, I hope that answered your question. I didn't mean to evade it, but I don't have probably the perfect answer for you, but I think I am the perfect person for this assignment.
There's no such thing as perfect answers, Mark, just but good intentions. So thank you.
Jennifer,
Yes.
would it be possible, I wrote down a couple questions, but I just wanted to ask one, at least to help Mark and Richard and I understand the council a little bit better and kind of the work that you do. I mean,
Sure.
I went back to try to look at prior agendas and saw that you do some survey work and saw that you like really try to get out the vote and those kinds of things. But could you guys tell us what project that you did that you're most proud of?
Sure. I don't know if want me to answer that or
Whoever.
I think we've done a lot of different things in, I mean, well, first of all, are we all set with Mark or do we have more questions for Mark?
Sorry.
That's okay, Suzanne. I just want to I don't want to, we are kind of up on time for Mark, but I don't want to, if anyone else has any other questions for him, I don't want to cut that out. Anyone else in the council? Okay, good. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate
By
it.
the way, Mark, it's good to see you again. We met at Patty's right after Christmas.
I remember.
Yeah.
Small town, small city. So, the Newtonville Area Council has done a lot of things. I think we're most proud of, well, there are multiple things we're most proud of. I think Laura, she has really been helping us with surveys and getting survey initiatives out the door and to people so we can try to figure out what people are working on, what they're interested in, what they do, and how we can talk to them and address issues that they're having. I think we have been instrumental in the debates that were going on for city council. We've always been a part of that, using our connection to the other area councils to host to host debates, to make sure that people know what's going on. Those are very well attended. Even this year where we had to do it via Zoom because our moderator had COVID. We did have, that was one of those instances where we had over 100 people at the event to listen in. I think when all of the issues of the rezoning efforts and the MBTA communities were coming out, Carolyn really spearheaded an effort to get visualization. We had asked the city to come up and say, well, what does the zoning look like when it's all built out? And they refused to give us any information. So Carolyn spearheaded an effort to get someone to actually put in density blocks to see like what it means to have a 3-story building or a 5-story building on Walnut Street and what that would mean. I think Village Day is always a very big success. I wish Dana was here. We could talk about how much she runs that and has really taken it under her purview. I don't think anyone ever dare ask her not to do it because we'd all be completely lost because she's so fabulous at doing it. But that's something where we get 4,000 to 5,000 people in the city of Newton to come to Newtonville and not only, kind of meet up with your neighbors, but look at the businesses we have in town and, try to get them more business. I wish we could do more with the businesses, to be honest. And that's maybe something we need to tackle this coming up. So our interests are kind of varied all over. We usually, when we do have like developments that are going in, I'm the one who reaches out and gets Berkeley Properties or Corf to come in and talk about what's happening so that we're not just listening to rumors and someone on Facebook who said something about some building that was going up near them. Like we hear it right from the developers, and we've always had a very respectful conversation. And I think they appreciate that because it's a way to get out to more people than they know and they see. That because they just could really kind of go out to the people who are abutters, but we're able to reach a bigger audience of people. And then when those meetings do happen, we're able to turn around and send it out to our mailing list and say, we had this meeting, here's what you need to know about Craft Street, or here's what you need to know about Court Street, or here's what you need to know about Trail, what's going on. And so we've been able to really, I think, tune people into what's going on in the city, more so than, I think we wish we had more. We wish we reached more. We wish we had more people. But we're trying, and that's really where our efforts lie is to really make sure people know what's going on. And that, we also have people who email us all the time, who say, like, for example, we had one woman who is getting nails in her street because there's a construction firm that's nearby and they keep rolling down the highway and losing nails, I guess. And we're able, she wrote to us and she's like, I've damaged 3 tires so far. I don't know what to do and no one's listening to me. So we're able to take that information and send it on to who it needs to go to and kind of advocate for that. Now, I can't solve the nail problem, but I feel like we played a part in making sure that at least someone's listening to her. So I don't know if that answers your question about what we and to be honest, I think I, as a leader, want to make sure that, the people who are on the council kind of have their own idea of what they're interested in and to follow that. We had a woman on our council last term, and she was really into keeping Newtonville clean. And like her whole job was to go around to the businesses and make sure they all put up posters and help them figure out, like, I think there was an issue with the trash container. We didn't have enough. So like she really kind of bit into that one and got the counselors to give her a trash can because it was like the kids who were coming in from the high school couldn't walk from the corner to the trash can. It was like too far. So like put one in the middle and it solved some of the trash problem, which is amazing. You wouldn't think that would be a problem, or possible. But, you know, so that's kind of like what we like to do, kind of solve problems. And we know we're a small council, but that doesn't mean we can't start to tackle some of the bigger things that are going on in Newton and, you know, try to make a difference. I think that's what we're all here to do. We're all on this council because we love Newtonville. We love Newton, and we want to do anything we can to improve the lives of our constituents, our residents.
And I think that I agree with what Jen lays out there, and it might sound like a hodgepodge of things that we deal with, and there's not. I'm somebody who loves strategy. I actually teach strategic planning, so not having a long-term strategy sometimes makes my head hurt. So this is actually good for me. But I think sometimes you can't necessarily have a strategy when the quality of life issues that affect each of our neighbors is going to be different, whether it be nails on their street or you know, Harvey and I'm sorry, Ralph and I got called in by a neighbor of ours because of they live off of Lowell Street and Lowell Ave, and it's become, you know, basically a speedway after they paved it, which we all are happy it's paved because, you know, we're not running over bad streets and stuff, but people don't know how to slow the hell down. And so, you know, we met with the neighbors and the city councilors and folks from the city in the morning to look at the street, the intersection that these neighbors were specifically talking about, and have kind of kept following up on this with the city and that sort of thing. So you know, my point is being sometimes your quality of life issues are not going to be the same as other people. And there's going to be sometimes people bring things to the table. You go, I really don't understand why this person's yelling and screaming about this, but if it matters to them, it matters. So you have to use the skills you have. I think one of the nice things about the council right now is we have a variety of skill sets. Something that, you know, Richard brought up earlier about like keying in on what people do and what they're good at and what they're not good at. And, you know, Carolyn's a retired attorney. I have never seen somebody proofread something to the fullest extent of Carolyn. And she looks at things through a very specific eye. Harvey and I are both in the academic world, so we kind of go back and forth on some of our academic kickies and stuff like that. But we come at things from a different standpoint. Dan has an excellent analytical background, and Ralph's got a long history with the city, but as well as with community activism in terms of his connection to the Charles River Conservatory and all that. So I think we have some really good people who provide for great work. And sometimes our priorities take a back seat to what are happening within the village. And that sort of thing. And I think the other thing that comes up too is we have 3 people, I think, on the council, Jen, is that right, who have kids currently in school and that sort of thing. So I think that it's either 3 or 4 of us.
Yeah, 3. It's
Yeah.
Dan, Harvey, and I, right?
Yeah,
And you.
me.
Or
Yeah,
4.
so there we go. So we Dan, I thought your kids were grown up and out of the house.
Children are done with
They're
school,
they're out.
so it's not me.
Oh, they're out, okay.
Just
But
the
they
3
did
of
go
us.
to Newton, right?
They
Yeah.
are, yeah, so.
Sorry.
So it's like, you know, so we have people with, you know, kids in the schools, we've got people who are business owners, we've got people who do things, so we're kind of all over the place.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Great, do any of the candidates have any other questions for us while you have us all? Almost all of us. Carolyn, you're not a candidate. What's your question?
Just a comment to the candidates, which
Okay.
is we can't elect you all numerically, but certainly we would love to have you involved if you're not elected in work groups and attending meetings.
Yes, thank you, Carolyn. And in full disclosure, there was one other person who did show an interest in joining the council. They were unable to come tonight. So we need to figure out as a council what to do about that, if it was you know, and so if they do want to have that interview, they're still interested and want to have the interview, and they just had an issue tonight. we would have to have an open meeting where we'd ask the same questions we just asked all of you. And then they would be part of the mix. It was his name was Christopher Smith. Is that right, Carolyn? Right? Yeah. So we will let, and I'll let you guys know what's happening there on that one. But like I said, the next step is for us to debate and have a vote at the next meeting. And then at the next meeting, at the conclusion of the next meeting, you'll know whether you are a new council member or not. So hopefully you're able to come. Obviously, if you can't come, we will let you know. It doesn't preclude you from being part of the membership if you can't come.
Can
And
I ask a
then,
question?
yes, Janet,
Interrupting.
that's okay.
I have a question. So how many people are on the council right now and how many can you have total?
By a charter, we can have 9 members of the council. We
Okay.
currently have 7.
7, okay.
Yes. So there are 2 open spots and technically 4
For
candidates.
people that are interested. Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, so it's in, you know, I think we went through this last time where we had more people than we could, and it was heartbreaking to make that decision. Because we really wish you could have had everyone there. But yeah, it happens. So but thank you all very much for coming in to being interviewed, and I wish the best of luck to all of you. So thank you. So that it concludes that portion of the meeting. The next is Newtonville Issues. We did take up an hour and 15 minutes with the interviews, so I didn't want to schedule anything too heavy to come after that because I didn't know how long it would last. But I did want everyone to know in terms of what's going on in Newtonville. If everyone saw, the senior center is now completely gone. That construction started, I think, the last week in January, the first week in February, something like that. But now they're going to have, they have changed the name. I don't know if you heard that from the state of the city. It's going to be called the Cooper Center for Active Living. And they are having a groundbreaking on the 7th of March. Sorry. Woo. Sorry. They're having a groundbreaking on the 7th of March. And at that time, they're actually going to have the opening of the time capsule. So I don't know if, as part of the Newtonville Area Council, you guys are interested in attending. I'm going to go. Suzanne, I know that Historic Newton was interested in the time capsule. I think it's actually sitting right now in the Historic Newton archive somewhere, waiting to get open. But I think that'll be interesting to see what's actually in there. I've heard it's been compromised due to foundational issues from years and decades ago, but you know, we'll see if anything flies out of it. Hopefully.
I think we've all been compromised over time. And foundational issues. Do we have a time for that groundbreaking?
Right now it's 10 a.m.
Okay.
I have
And
a
that has
question.
been opened up to the public, so it's not, I mean, you know, if you choose not to go, it's not like we're gonna have only 3 people there. I mean, hopefully there'll be more people, but it is
What's
in the
the
middle of
date?
the morning.
What is the date again?
It's the 7th, Thursday, the 7th,
March 7th?
March 7th. And I'll be
Really?
sending out messaging about that to Newtonville, to our mail list so that they know it's coming too. Carolyn?
Is there to be a time capsule inserted in the new structure?
I don't believe so. I haven't heard that. Usually they don't put cornerstones in buildings like that anymore. I can ask. I'll ask and let you know if I find out. I don't recall seeing the plans for any, but you never know. I mean, Josh may have one up his sleeve. You know, I mean, I just don't know what they're doing, but I'm very happy. When I found out they were taking everything down, I was kind of all over Josh to make sure that there was some kind of ceremony that happened with the time capsule, because I think it's important. And then when Historic Newton got involved, I think they were excited too, to make it kind of an event. I assume it's gonna be on social media. But it'll be interesting. I've never seen one before. But,
It's gonna be during the
anything-
day on March 7th,
10 a.m., March 7th.
10 a.m., March 7th.
Yep. Great. So is there anything else going on in Newtonville that we should be discussing? We're talking about Ralph?
And I should do a disclaimer here before I get into that. I'm been on the board of the Charles River Watershed Association, which is different than the Conservancy. They're kind of a competitor almost.
My
But anyhow,
apologies.
as we speak, there's a public meeting going on about Cheesecake Brook, which actually is within our catchment. In
Mhm.
fact, when I looked at the map, I think a lot of it is, maybe not the one bank, but it's certainly the other. But anyhow, the idea is,
Yeah.
you know, it's been just channelized for decades, and as have many other rivers and streams in Newton. And so the Watershed Association has received some public funding to do some feasibility studies about trying to turn Cheesecake back into a stream, not a culvert. And there are issues that, you know, may come up with flooding and things like that, but that's being looked at. And I've asked, and they're recording the meeting, and I can work with you, Jennifer, to get it up on the
Sure.
we'll share it to other people. So they've had other meetings about it. And as many of you know, I mean, one of the bridges blew out a year or two ago.
Mhm.
And, you know, Cheesecake's kind of an interesting little stream because it starts up at Brayburn Country Club and is underground most of the way. And then it kind of reappears in West Newton and Newtonville. So I guess it's our area's stream. The rest of them are all buried, so that anyhow, so that's moving along. So
Is there I don't know how much you know about it, but if they do turn it from a culvert back into a stream, like I assume the reason they have so much, the flooding issues is because it kind of all narrows down to a drainage system, like a
Yeah,
drain, is
yeah,
that
yeah,
what happened?
yeah.
So if they were to open it up again, would that affect backstream, like this part that's undergrounded, or would that, like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I don't think, I mean, I think the idea is to spread it out a little, and so that the flow isn't all just channelized, that when you do
Yeah.
get the episodic high flow, it can spread out a little bit more. And yeah, will that, I would think it might reduce some of the flooding upstream if you can. It's like a relief valve downstream. And then, you know, before
Yeah.
too long, it goes into the Charles. And but you know, there are migratory fish that get up the main stem of the Charles, and you know, river herring and stuff like that. And not that it's ever going to be a huge fish you know, reproductive area, but it's, you know, it can add to the, you know, add to the area that's useful. So, but
Yeah.
anyhow, and if it makes sense, I could probably arrange for one of our meetings, and I'll talk to the Watershed Association too, but maybe have somebody come to one of our meetings and just give a brief overview of it. So
I think that'd be interesting, because we do own the the day middle school side of the Cheesecake Brook.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
part of our catchment area. And I do consider Albemarle to be ours, just because of, you know, where it is, and the people who go to the schools and
Yeah.
use that facility. But I think it would be interesting. We've had people come in and talk about the trees before and talk about some of the things that are going on, but I know nothing about Albemarle, I mean, the Cheesecake Brook. I mean, I know it disappears, but I don't really know where it goes.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it goes the other way, but yeah, if you do have someone or something that you think would be interesting, I think that would be a good way to get the knowledge out about the creek and about this initiative. Do you know what are they voting soon, or are they just informational right now?
No, this is all informational, you
Okay.
know, and it's, I think they're gonna have to do designs and, you know, studies, probably permitting. And I'm not sure there is money to do any construction. I think they have money to, take the ideas further along
Mhm.
and, the Conservation Commission would be involved and other city folks, so.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a CPC money that could go towards it. Right?
Possibly, yeah,
That's
yeah.
part of their 10% or 20%, whatever they have to give away, but that would be, I think that'd be interesting. So why don't you and I connect on that one?
Okay,
And we'll see if we can.
It'll only take you 10 years to get the CPC money from the city. That's all. That's quick.
Yeah, we don't have a lot, so we gotta. I
10
I
years.
don't follow the CPC very much, but I know there have been a couple of things that we've done, like the Gath Pools CPC money.
How many years did that take?
Well, it's getting fixed now. It's now a big dirt hole. That's another update. I don't know if anyone's seen Gath Pool, but that is, I think they're now showcreting the pool. So they're getting the concrete into the pool. So that will potentially be done by the time school's over, if it ever is over in July. And so we'll be able to use that pool, which I think is pretty cool. Went pretty fast. And I think there were a lot of things that people wanted to have done to the pool, but we just didn't have the money to do it. So you get a nice new pool and getting a couple upgrades in the bathhouse, but it is what it is, right? I haven't seen any movement on the senior center, or sorry, the senior property that's on Craft Street. I don't know if anyone else has heard about that, but as soon as I get an update, I'll provide that. And I do know that the other one on Craft Street is now going through its 40B permitting process. So that'll take a while before it gets up. But they're still, I think, they're under the wire. I don't think we've been declared a non 40B. What is it called? Not safe zone, safe harbor. That
Safe
hasn't gone
harbor.
through yet,
Yeah,
right?
Safe harbor. Yep.
Yeah, but that hasn't gone through, so they can still do what they want with 40B wise. And then the big hole in Newtonville, or sorry, in West Newton, that's been sold. But if you've gone down, it looks like they're starting on the Washington Street road diet. I think that's what that is.
No,
if
they've
anyone's-
they've
is
agreed
that
to
not
work
part
on
of
the
it?
plans. They're claiming they haven't funded yet. According to the
Oh, well, they
meeting
have a
the
big,
other night.
huge barrier in.
And I don't think that's the road diet. I
Oh,
think
that's
that's
just-
Justin Eads.
It's
That's
just
for the
an
It's not the
inconvenience.
road, that's not the road diet, that's
Uh-huh.
because of construction vehicles. for Dunstan.
Yeah,
Ah.
that's for
Raises the
Dunstan Eads.
question to me, how the road diet, when those barriers are going to be there for years.
We're losing you,
Carolyn, I'm
Carolyn.
sorry, I can't hear you.
I couldn't hear that either.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I have to be at a specific spot for my very sensitive
Don't
microphone,
move.
which is that those barriers are for the construction
Hmm.
and they're supposed to be in place for 2 to 3 years during the construction, which raises a question to me of how they're going to do this road diet pilot where those barriers are in place.
I agree. I mean, I felt like it was not really the road diet, but kind of starting the road diet, like a test to see if we could take the road diet. Because it is kind of intrusive and it does go down to 2 lanes right there. Just no potted plants that that they wanted to do. So
Potted trees, not plants,
What-
potted trees.
sorry, potted trees, you're right.
Well, one thing that I experienced with that, which I suppose I'll bring up to a city councilor, but the barriers are perfectly obvious during daylight, but at dusk and at night, they're not. And even though I knew that was supposed to be in place, I went in the evening to go pick up a item in West Newton Square, and I nearly ran into the jut out of those Jersey barriers, not realizing that the lane had disappeared quite as
Ah.
rapidly. So I think we need a little bit more safety signage and reflection reflectivity and so forth,
Mhm.
or flashing lights or something. Because
I
even though
wish,
I was aware of
I wish
that,
Susan was still here to hear that.
well, or I may talk to Tariq. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
still on traffic, but he had been in the past.
Yeah, it hasn't, I've seen the traffic agendas haven't dealt with it at all. So I don't think they're thinking it's a problem. It's not even coming up on the agenda, so maybe it's something that they don't realize. But it would be good to talk to Tariq.
Oh,
Good.
according to Andrea Downs at the city council meeting, it's a great idea. So she runs all that, city council, traffic council, I mean.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm not as sold yet. Dan,
Just out of curiosity, that's not in our catchment area, is
no,
it?
it's the reason I brought it up is because we're part of the road diet. So
Mhm.
we have the road diet up to.
No, it's fine. I mean, I get all the thing. It was more of a curiosity thing.
No, no, no.
It's-
I thought it was part of the road diet, which is why I brought it up, because it will be affecting us. This road diet is coming for our area. Because it starts at Lowell and goes towards West Newton Square. So it had been brought up the last meeting we had, I think, or the meeting before that, maybe in December. I think it was December we talked about it. But I just was giving an update. Is there anything else going on that we need to work on? Laura?
I don't have, I think one of the things we want to do is, we need to set a date for which of our upcoming meetings is going to be hybrid, so be in person. And so when I was looking at the calendar, we could either start with our next meeting in March, or we can go with April. And I think I would just like to do a straw poll of folks here as to which one they would prefer to start with. I think it's important that we're all there. I know there's every so often, some folks have a conflict in their time. But we would like to have either the next meeting be in person with obviously with a hybrid approach, so that there is an opportunity for people to come on in by Zoom, and that sort of thing. Or do we want to start with April? So the dates for the next two meetings are, I want to make sure I have my dates correct.
So where do you
Are
keep?
March 28th. I do not believe
Yep.
that it conflicts with, that is the Thursday prior to Western Christian Easter. I'm Eastern Orthodox, so I always have to say that. So that's the weekend before Western Christian Easter, and I do not believe that is hitting Passover this year. Am I correct?
I don't see it on my calendar,
Okay.
but Carolyn, when's Passover?
You're correct. It's later.
Okay.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then the Thursday, the 25th is the next meeting in April. So we could just do a straw poll on that, and then we'll move forward with setting that up as the first hybrid meeting.
Is that Harvey, or maybe Laura, when's school vacation week in April?
That is not school vacation week. That's the following week.
Okay,
So
so the
school-
school vacation week is the 15th through the 19th?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it. I mean, I'm okay with either. I was planning on next, but with the election, I mean, that's the only thing that says different. I mean, would
You mean
Suzanne,
the
Richard,
presidential
and
primary election?
no, not
Oh,
that
with
one.
the
Our election.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
would
The
any of the
more
candidates
important
have
Newtonville
a
area council
yeah,
election.
would any of the candidates for area council have a conflict? And I guess that it looks to me that Mark had to jump from the call, so we could maybe circle back with him. But Richard or Suzanne, do you have a conflict with either of those to be in person?
The March 28th, no. And then April 25th, no.
Suzanne, what about you?
And you can still do it by Zoom.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. It's just whether you wanted to be there or
March,
not.
I don't have an issue. April, I may, but I can always go on Zoom. As
Okay.
Jeff knows, I just did a call for historic Newton from Thailand.
Yeah. Like 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, right?
It was really good.
Where do you meet in person? Where's the meeting?
Well, we had discussed this. We were thinking about doing it the first meeting in City Hall, just because it's familiar. We know the whole system setup, but we were hoping that in the future we could do it in different places around Newtonville. You know, maybe the Masonic Temple,
Yeah.
since we have a connection there now.
Yeah.
You know,
And we have people, the folks at Cradles to Crayons are interested in having us have a
Yep.
meeting there.
That was
So
the
I
other one.
think as we kind of consider some spaces, there's some opportunity. Carolyn,
Oh, you're muted or not. No, you're not muted. You're just not there.
I'm just not in range. How did
Yeah.
we get advised with regard to whether we're required to hold our meetings on city property?
We aren't required to do that. I called Jonah Temple and talked to legal. Because that was a concern that got brought up a couple times, and I just wanted to make sure they have no problem with it. As long as we are public and that we do, you know, it's held in a place where people can get to and it doesn't have accessibility issues, then we're fine. So, you know, we wouldn't be able to have it in a 3-story brownstone walk-up, but we could have it at probably Cradles and Crowns, that's the ground level. Masonic is probably
the
has some
Cabot
kind of
School?
accessibility. We could have the Cabot, although they would charge us money to rent the space.
They would?
So, yeah, that's what they do.
Do
Uh,
those places have hybrid capabilities, or how would that be managed?
Well, I don't know. I was throwing the Masonic Temple out there for Suzanne's purpose.
but
I think
the
Cradles of
Cradles
Crown
to
does
Crayons
have
has a
that
full,
capability.
they have a Cradles to Crayons has a really impressive boardroom with more bells and whistles than we have right now on our home Zooms, so.
Yeah. And then, of course, City Hall is definitely accessible and does have the capability, because we have had meetings from there before. Ralph?
I don't know if there's a cost involved, but we've had a couple of watershed meetings at the Boys and Girls Club. And
Yep.
There's an elevator, it's accessible.
And it's in
we-
Newtonville.
Yes,
Yeah, and we've had hybrid meetings there, so,
yeah, they're also, we've also reached out to them as well, so.
okay.
We're looking at them, we're looking at Cradles to Crayons, if we can get into the Masonic building. The whole point of this is that idea of community outreach and making sure
Right.
people can see our community as best we can. You know, even if, well, some of the restaurants might have a space for us, you know, so that would be a cool thing. Or we could break into the old CVS that's empty on Walnut
Yeah,
Street, set up a couple of card tables and just do that, and then set up a pickleball court, you know, I
There
mean,
you
we can do
go.
anything, right?
Bring out candle pins.
Candle pin, yeah, we'll do candle pin, it'll be great, I don't. All right, so any concerns from people to start with March?
No.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, it's less of a concern with the date, but it's just a preference to have a fully staffed council when we have that hybrid meeting, whereas
Yeah.
the March meeting is going to be one where we're voting and
Yeah.
we're not fully staffed.
I think you make a good point. So why don't we move to make the first hybrid meeting the April meeting? Do I have to do we have to vote on this, or do we just say it?
I mean, I don't think we have to vote on it, right, Carolyn?
I think we can just go with any objections and let people speak.
Any
if there's an
objections?
objection.
Let it go? Okay, let's plan on April, so everybody put it in your calendars, and then we'll, Jennifer, are you gonna reserve the space at City Hall?
Yep, I'll talk to City Hall and get that taken care of.
Okay, so we'll see you all in person in 3 dimensions. And I want everyone's hair looking good. I want everybody, you know, we should just coordinate outfits and we'll make it fun.
Someone
Hey,
needs to bring
Harvey, will
food
you speak
too.
forward?
What was that, Dan?
I asked Harvey if I could use his barber.
We'll bring a shine cloth.
Okay, so that's taken care of. The next thing would be the minutes. I don't know if everyone saw the minutes that went out, from Carolyn. I think it's from what, January 2023. Slowly but surely, we're getting them up. But I have no objections to those minutes. I don't remember what happened at that meeting. So I'm sure everything that Carolyn said, you looked at the Zoom meeting, didn't you? Went back, did it from Zoom.
Endured 3 hours.
Yeah, great. Didn't even fast forward, huh?
I couldn't even find out.
Oh, we're losing you.
I couldn't put it on speed.
Yeah.
Suffered.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the January 2023
Second.
meeting minutes.
Second,
Carolyn seconds. Do we have any object or all in favor? Dan? Are you frozen or not in favor? Okay, there we go. Just checking. Do we have her? So that's it's unanimous. We can get those up, Harvey, to the website.
just Harvey, either I'll do it or you do it, but there's the word draft in the footer. Just has to come off to make it final.
What's in the folder? Okay, that's helpful.
It's in the footer.
It's in the footer. Okay.
Okay. And then we need to make some kind of plan to get the other ones up. Like I said before, I don't feel as bad because we do have those minutes live on YouTube. Or sorry, we have the meetings live on YouTube so people can see what happened. But I would like to get those minutes up and come up with a plan to figure out how to get those done.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just sort of do an audit to see what we have and then check in to
Okay.
make sure that we don't have the minutes elsewhere that are on someone's computer that haven't been posted yet. And if not, I'll just recreate the minutes from the recordings.
Okay, and let me know if you need help, because I know that's a lot to put on you. We have a lot of minutes.
I
Quite a
don't
few
think we're
minutes.
that many names that we're missing.
I don't know. I don't know how many we're missing. We are missing a couple of
I
them.
don't think we're missing that many. I think it's only 2 or 3.
Yep.
So I think once that's done, Harvey, if you could just send us an email, me and Jennifer, because then we have to do like an annual report.
Okay,
So once that's done, I'll get the annual report done.
sounds good.
Got it.
Um,
Okay,
There's one thing that is business for the council. Some of us received an email from Peter Coe about a conflict of interest requirement for 2024. If you haven't completed that, there is a deadline on that for sorry, I can't see the date, but there is a deadline for that. So
is it the end of this month?
I think it's March 15th. It's March
Oh.
15th.
March 15th, yeah.
So if folks can make sure that gets done.
Just
Do
out
you
of
guys-
curiosity, have how long that takes?
Yeah,
It doesn't take that long. It's pretty, I mean, is it the one that's the slideshow? I've taken it a couple times.
I just did it. The first piece is an hour, and then the second piece is just an acknowledgement of receipt. Click a box, but it does take an hour, the first piece.
Because you have to, so is this the one that you have to watch the video and then answer the questions, and then you can't move on unless, if you don't answer the questions correctly, you have to watch the video again?
Yeah,
Is
well,
that
there are
right?
only 5 questions, and if you can't answer the 5 questions correctly, not so hot.
They make you go-
No. I mean, you don't have a lot of trouble answering the 5 questions.
Mhm.
They're not difficult.
Yeah. I've taken
But
a
you
couple.
do have to watch through every module.
Yeah, that's right. I've done a couple through this and through, they've changed it during the city. They've changed it up because I've done another one and now this is a new one they have. But I'm surprised Ralph, Laura, and Harvey didn't take it when they came in.
Well, I did, and I went into it today and it was like one screen. It said it would take 10 minutes, but it was literally one screen, which I acknowledged, and then it said I'd finished it. Part of the message was, I guess, if you took it last year, you
Mhm.
weren't gonna need to do it until 2025, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, so I think
It's
some
sort
of
of
us
a-
have taken it and some of us haven't, so.
Yeah.
It's a-
You're lucky, you probably took it at one point and had the abbreviated version, which I think is what I have. But
Right.
Carolyn had to go through the hour-long presentation.
Well,
It's
I had
an
to do it
every,
for the historic district too, so.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
had to do it for. way
it's, a-
back
I think
when.
it's an every other year requirement to do the full shoot and match.
Yep,
The hardest piece was after you do the generic module, you have to pick the module that applies to what your office is. And none of them particularly apply to us. The good news is, at least once I picked the government elected official module, which was really for state or municipal, state or whatever, county or something, there are no questions there. So you just
just take your
go
hand
through
out
it.
and go.
Well, you just have to watch so that you can advance it.
Yeah. Okay, so as a reminder, if you haven't done it already, or if you're expiring, then do that by March 15th. So hopefully you can get it done before our next meeting. You won't get in trouble. Peter won't come after you. He's a nice guy. I don't want to see him angry. That's good. So are there any other issues with the council or with Newtonville? Or anything we need to address in next meeting besides the election?
I'd like to add one comment here. You
Yep.
guys work really, really well together, and I really appreciate what a nice meeting this is, because I think you really coordinate well, and everybody's excellent at doing the little piece, and makes it an enjoyable meeting.
Well, thank you, Janet. We're not yelling at each other, so that's good. I think we all like each other. It's even better.
We've all been drinking before the meeting. No.
There you go. That's the answer.
Just kidding,
It's
Laura.
not true. This is being recorded
This is being
publicly.
recorded.
I had a very heavy dinner, Janet, and so I'm just a little
Just a
logy.
little sleepy. Oh, great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting then, if nothing else is going on. Do
And-
I have a second to adjourning the meeting? Harvey, all in favor of adjournment?
Adjourn.
And then we're adjourned.
Richard
So
and
thank you
Suzanne, it was
all.
nice to
Bye.
meet you.
Thank you,
Thank
Yeah,
Suzanne
nice
you.
and
to meet
Richard,
you
for
all.
sticking it out. And
And you and I are gonna hang out so we can reset that account.
yep, let me go ahead and stop the recording. And stop recording. Yes.